Welcome to our Rethinking Online Communication workshop. My name is Ana, and I'm a youth worker and a trainer, and I come from Serbia. And in the past few years, we have been working a lot on rethinking the way that we communicate with young people. We have noticed that a lot of the times we are struggling with young people who we are working with, and we are creating programs for young people, and then we have noticed, and our colleagues have also noticed, that we have the same young people coming to our programs, and it's young people already active in NGOs. And it's we kind of have this problem of outreach and reaching out to the other young people out there. So we try to think about what caused this, and we developed a concept to maybe try to tackle this issue, especially online. If you came here for all the answers and all the methods, we're not going to get it there here. Why? Because methods are changing. Methods are changing every day, and young people are using new platforms, and young people are using new technologies, and young people are moving from one platform to another. So it's our job somehow to be curious and to discover new platforms and to see what we can work with. Our approach, we started with thinking about how we can talk to young people about values, but online, which is really difficult to provoke discussions with young people, value-oriented discussions, and to create a community online. And I'm going to reflect a bit on what Martin's presentation is in the first day, and the number of young people who feel lonely, and the number of young people who are searching for communities is really rising. And young people are now searching for communities online. A lot of young people don't feel like they belong to a group of people that they hang out with, so they're searching for small communities online. And we were thinking about, okay, so how can we do this? How can we communicate meaningfully to young people online? Not only just propaganda, the things we do, and like invite them to come over, but how can we also communicate with young people that are not so close, not in our city, but maybe in our region? And can we do something meaningful online that's value-oriented? So we did a little research, and we came up to this amazing group of young people who are already doing it in the Western Balkans. And they're not using the fanciest digital tools that just came out. It's a blog. So someone would say blogs are like a way to think in the past. But there are a group of enthusiast young people who made a travel blog. It's in the languages of the Western Balkans. So it's a platform for the entire Western Balkans. And in a post-conflict area, it is really valuable, and they gathered a few travel enthusiasts. And what they do, it's not travelers that go on holidays to fancy places, but they travel to less known places, and they travel to some countries that you usually wouldn't travel to. They go to small communities, they talk to people, they use couch surfing and hitchhiking, and they use alternative means of transport. So it's not the elitist kids traveling the world and writing travel blogs on where they were, but it's a bunch of young people that really want to get to know the world, and they're curious about the world and the way people live in other communities. So they started this small travel blog. And what happened? They became really popular. And a lot of people from the Western Balkan countries that would normally cooperate created a community around this really nice topic of traveling. And they created a meaningful community where that's really value-oriented, because you explore, you talk to people, you share your experiences, and you can tackle all of the different topics and all of the problems and all of the situations. So they are speaking about, they are opening the value-oriented like discussions, like if you're a female traveler traveling to Middle East, should you cover your hair or not? And they're debating these kind of things. So they are really talking about values and opening discussions and agreeing and disagreeing with each other and speaking from experience. But it now became a huge community of young people from the Western Balkans. It's in all the languages because people understand each other, so it's kind of erasing the borders, and which is really important for the Western Balkan context. And in my personal opinion, they have done more for the reconciliation in the region than a lot of the Key Action 2 and Key Action 1 projects that gathered 20 people from Croatia, Serbia, and Albania together talking, because people here are cooperating no matter which nationality they are from and where they're coming from, because they found this common value ground and they're talking and they're discussing and they're investing in the community. So now at one point they were crowdfunding. They're opening this travel house each year in a community that they don't know a lot about. So they're making more and more people engage in this, getting to know other communities, how people live, being curious about the world, being curious on how people live somewhere in the places where you normally wouldn't go. And we were thinking about, okay, these people are doing online something that youth workers are doing in a non-formal education context. Why aren't we doing this? At one point, they even made an NGO. They registered and everything. But when we spoke to them, they said, no, we're not an NGO. Because they see us as these propaganda value people that are going around like being really strict about what we do, and they want to back out from us. So then we were thinking about, okay, how can we do this? Because we can do this. We can make these small communities online and try to use the approach of a topic that young people are naturally curious about, and formally these little communities when we can provoke meaningful discussion. Because it's not enough to just post memes on your Facebook account, and then like 2 days later it's Instagram, so we can like post random stuff on Instagram, but we don't have a voice. We don't have a unique voice that says like, this is us, this is our value, this is our common ground, this is what we stand for. So we invited them over, and we invited a lot of youth workers, and we tried to kind of transform and implement this context with youth workers. So we tested it a bit in these training courses and these youth exchanges, and if we can talk about the project later, I don't want to go into the practicalities, but we really wanted to explore, can we do this? Can we create these online communities where young people will talk about values and not just calling them to come to our activities and to physically be there, but inspiring them to form these little communities? And a lot of these young people met in real life after some time. A lot of these young people are still communicating online, but a lot of them meet and go on trips together and write blogs and everything, and there's a lot of sharing, and more people are getting engaged. And it's really a small community that gives you a sense of belonging. Like we do in non-formal education, you gather around a group of people and you talk about values and you raise questions. It's just happening online. So we can all do this, we just need to kind of explore what is it that we are passionate about and how to reach young people in these small communities and form these online communities. To find, and I will show you later, we made a little video that explains the method and how we can do this. But the main thing is to kind of shift our minds from the way that we communicate, just calling people to come and visit us and calling people to our events, to kind of see how can we make our youth work practice go online and go somewhere else. And you can really have, there's really meaningful value-oriented discussions, and people are really having this feeling of community. And a lot of young people are also influenced by other people doing these things. So you have these young people that start playing video games and go into the online community, and it takes them sometimes to a really questionable value-oriented community with the well, a bit questionable things that they do. And they also meet in real life, and they also form these little communities. And you had these shootings in Australia recently, and there was this videos and everything that popped up, and it took you to a blog a blog where all of these people gathered around in the community and shared their own values. So a lot of people are doing it, but youth workers are kind of, we are missing this, we haven't recognized yet that maybe we can do these things. So I'm going to play a little video now that we created after the experience. It's really basic, and it's what can you do to create these online communities? And what should you be careful about? It's really practical. So it's basically, when we communicate to young people online, we try to use their means. So we try to use, nowadays we try to use memes, and we go on Instagram, and we go on platforms that they use. But we're missing this first step usually, like this setting common ground, setting values, and this ethics part. And we don't have an identity. We don't have a clear identity online. Think about your favorite Facebook pages or Twitter pages or Instagram pages or anything that you follow just for you, for fun, for anything. They have a clear identity, right? Even if you don't see the icon of who is posting this, when you see the post, most probably you will know that this is something that this person created. Because they create this common understanding of a voice. What is the voice of my page? What is the voice that I'm speaking in? It's not 5 people, it may be 5 people creating posts, and it may be 50. But there's a clear voice in which they are talking about. There's clearly this recognition and this being specific on what you do. And you can also react on everyday things, and you can also follow trends and everything, but you have a unique voice, and that makes people trust you. We sometimes, most of the times, in my experience and in the experience of my organization, so this is not a provocation, but we sound like people who are now promoting this youth exchange, and then we are talking about this event here, and then my colleague posts something about something that happened yesterday, and this is all in the different voices and in different styles, and everything is happening on a different level, and then the director of the organization is posting something on what we did during this amazing project, and no one has a voice. We don't have a unique voice. You cannot read the values from our page. You can just pick up little pieces of information, but how can we transform it, and how can we have a voice? We can imagine our page or our organization or our website as a person that has a voice and that has some unique structure or the way they talk about things. And maybe it's sarcasm, or maybe it's something else, but when people read our post, they should recognize that, okay, these are these people. I can expect these and these emotions and things about they're talking about, and there's something that I can expect from this. So we're going to do a little exercise now. And of course, this is a very short session, so we cannot define the value-oriented platform that we're gonna share on. But I wanted to do a little exercise, and we talked to Sonia, and we wanted to create a few posts about our experience on the academy, and try to little play with the tools that we can use. So I created a few inspirational ones that maybe we can see. Sorry. We wanted to use memes or something like that, or photos, to kind of show how we feel about the academy so far. So what is our experience? If there was one sentence that you want to share with the world about how you feel about the academy, and that you want to communicate, but you don't want to write on the official page and say, there was a lot of inspirational talk about this, this, and this, but you just kind of want people, maybe not from the sector, or some colleagues to just, oh, okay, this is how this feels. So I created a few, we're going to use memes. So we're going to try to transform our own thoughts about the academy so far, or about a particular session or anything, with memes. So I created a few just for inspiration, and you may not like it. Okay, so for the time before the academy, there was a lot of talk. Did you? This is my personal opinions. But it's allowed because this is our personal reflections on the processes. This is about last night. I made this last night.
Very good.
And this is the impression from this morning.
Very true. How did you create these?
And now you're going to do it.
Ah,
So take a few moments to think about your personal reflections of the academy so far. It can be a particular session, it can be the overall experience, it can be a little chat that you had with a colleague, it can be anything. And in your app, in the session explanation for this session, you will find a few links where you can create these memes really, really fast and really easy, without any previous experience in creating memes. I posted a few, so you can just choose which is the most convenient for you. It's easy. And this is just one of the tools that we can use. This is just, we learned how to use it in 2 minutes. We laughed, so it provoked a bit of emotion. We communicated what we want to communicate. Like, you can read really clearly what the person wrote, right? What the person meant. Sorry. There's subcultures of young people that really enjoy memes and that are really passionate about it, and there's subcultures of young people that really don't, and that's moved on to something new. And of course, we cannot create a content where we can reach everyone.
I think it also depends on how you use it, because I would never just send it to a friend or something, but I'm just thinking I'm organizing a summer academy in summer, and we just make this wall, and people can all the time like say posting. And then you have a way that people start communicating, or maybe they will even start like, I'm the moderator, and they make a meme of the two moderators, and it's pretty funny, but it also starts discussions, and it makes this other way of communicating with each other, where people start talking about private things, which is also important in this youth encounters, I guess, or for me.
I think that in memes you are also making not only jokes about what you're saying, but also about the image, so it's also transporting subculture. So what you saw there is also like Dawson's Creek, it's from the 90s, so maybe all of us know it, but for someone who's 15 years old, this is very lame and they don't get it. And then there is like Game of Thrones meme, and I never watched it, so I don't really understand the message. but it's also creating a meme of something that has to do with my subculture. And so I don't know the TV shows or the last 3 YouTube videos that my group watched because they haven't watched them. So I'm lame because I'm using stuff from the 90s, and my peer group, they find it funny, and I'm sending memes to my peer group, and they laugh about it, but they watched in the 90s the same TV shows like me. But so I think maybe, I don't know, your son or also my youngsters, they find it lame what I'm doing because I'm not speaking about the same things, and I'm not transporting the sub-message of it. And that is also where I think where we have to be careful, because I don't want to fit the subculture of 15-year-olds. It's not my aim. And I like to be lame. I mean, I liked that Dawson's Creek in the 90s and Nirvana and stuff, and I like that, and it's funny for me in my peer group, but I don't know. I don't want to start watching stupid YouTube videos and create memes on it that I'm actually not interested in, just to be cool towards my peer group. And I think that is also a problem with like old people like us, mainly old people like me. I talk better about me. Old people like me trying to pretend to be in the subculture of the 50s, because I remember when my older brothers or my parents or aunts did it, I just found it really shaming. I felt really like, please stop doing that. I don't want to become my mother in a way.
I have a question which is related to the fact that we just produced intellectual outputs out of, like, it's about the recent law that European Parliament approved on copyright. How this thing is matching with the compliance with the law is going to be harder and harder to develop this kind of contents, and there is a huge debate on this, especially because the subculture of memes is actually the one that is generating new cultures, basically, in the new generation. So how do we deal with this, like, doubt, let's say, or like the dilemma, I would say?
Okay, so at this point, this is not an easy question to answer, and it popped out the day before yesterday, and it will keep appearing, like, until we realize exactly how much we will be affected by all these things. But I guess this is one of the things that we'll have to discover. And then maybe a new meme culture or culture will appear when we will use our own photos and materials. So maybe it will be a good thing that's going to inspire some people to create new stuff, or maybe it's, I don't know, my wrong person.
I also wanted to add to what you were talking about, because I absolutely agree that maybe it's not about like forcing yourself to be like talking the same language, but somehow understanding how this communication works. And this is what I was trying to say earlier when I said that memes can be very complex. It's not only joking. Like a friend of mine writes his master thesis in sociology about memes, actually, and he's in groups on Facebook where people are like 16 to 19-year-olds are talking about Marxism and stuff in memes, you know? Like this can be highly political, highly like dense information, and it's a totally different way of communicating that we should not lose track of. So
People are actually reading and getting informed so they can understand and relate to the context of a meme, because
there are pages for that where every meme is explained and stuff like this. So.
But then if we want to inform about something, like, I don't know what is going on in the European elections, then maybe it would be smart to use like a picture from someone talking about the European election and making a meme out of it, because then they would Google it to see where the meme is coming from. Is that happening?
That is happening. I mean, I don't know about European elections, but people are posting stuff like this where you go to get informed in order to understand the meme, and that's what you were talking about. It's funny for some people, and I want it to be funny for me also, so I'm going to read a few things, and yeah, now it's funny for me also. And this is it. Thank you all for participating, and thank you all for these beautiful contents. I hope there will be more.